Hi everyone, Great Power 60 here, and thanks for joining me for another Tea With Me Tuesday. Um, I don't know how often I'm going to do these, but I'm so glad that you joined me today. Oh, it's been a busy day today. Oh, my tea is so good today. This is one of my favorite, and it's shaking. Shouldn't be shaking. Thanks for stopping by. I have a couple of things I wanted to talk about. One of them is update on Mum. Mum is doing very well, but I have noticed that her dementia has kind of dipped. In other words, she was at a fairly good plateau where her dementia was at a certain level. But I think after the stress of the testing that she went through at the assessment center at the geriatric day hospital at the Ottawa Hospital. So I think with the doctor talking about her, she's in the room. I think with all of the exhausting testing and then taking those pills for 2 days, just threw her for a loop. And so her level has gone down where um, her understanding was, say, at this level, she's dropped a level. So it's hard for me to explain. I notice it, and my daughter notices it, where she gets a little more confused than usual. She's a little more tired than usual. Mom has never napped, never daytime napping. But getting, as soon as it, even before last week anyway, before it even got dark out, she wanted to go to bed. She was just tired, and I just said, well, go ahead and lay down, Mom. It was okay. But she ended up, except for getting up once or twice, and maybe being a little confused about the time. Whereas before, I used to be able to show her the time on the clock, and she totally understood what time it was. Um, and what she used to do was she would be sitting there watching TV. So we'd watch the news at 6, and at 7, Murder She Wrote came on. Sometimes she was too tired to watch it, and other times she watched it till 8 o'clock, and then she went to bed. And she looked at the clock. When she started getting tired, she would look at the clock, and she knew what time it was. Now she's having a little difficulty with the whole time thing. So, but we're adjusting. You know what? It's okay with me, Mom, if you want to rest, if you want to do whatever. Um, I've kind of what I consider cluttered up the living room here. I did a tour. I don't know if it's going up before or after this video, but I kind of did it like a little bit of an apartment tour, showing you sort of all of our decorations and things. She likes it. She really likes it. And then when I cleaned out the dining room, and it's totally, I mean, it's just beautiful to look at because it's empty, you know. Um, she loves it. She absolutely loves it. Mom was always one to have things put away. She did like to have little knickknacks out, but if you ever went to my mom's home, she always had. Oh, Kitty's come. Yes, Kitty, come to join me. It's probably going to make noise anyway. Her home was always. There were a few knickknacks out. Most of them were in her curio cabinets or in her different cabinets. And, but her house was always like there was nothing cluttered on the floor. It was always tidy. And I'm kind of the opposite, I guess. I just let things, well, you can tell by my bedroom. That's the new storage room, my bedroom. But anyway, so she's doing well. I mean, I'm going to watch her for the next, I'll give her a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, to kind of see where her baseline is at this point and whether I need to be a little bit more compassionate, I guess, or a little more patient or a little more understanding because she has dropped that level. Whereas we kind of got used to each other at a certain level, and I kind of knew what Mom would understand when I told her and what I didn't. So, anyway, So that's what's new about Mom. And that's not really what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to let you know she's in good health. You know, it's a shame that her mind is getting lost because she's a healthy lady, and with a good mind, she'd probably be scrubbing floors, driving a car, you know, all of those things. But Mom is Mom, and uh, and that's all I can say. You know, she is doing her best with the difficulties that she has. So I was watching, let's kind of get over that. Thanks for all of your prayers, your kind words. You all are so sweet and so adorable to Mom. And I thank you for that, because even though I tell her, so and so said this about you, she would go, oh my gosh. But then if I told her again in another 10 minutes, she won't remember. Um, but just the fact that I'm letting her know. So I am letting her know when you send kind words. She may not know who you are. Well, she doesn't know who you are. Um, it's heartfelt for her, and she does appreciate it. And so do I. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to get on today was because the other day I was watching Dainty Diaries, and she is taking her break. She did her last video, and she kind of did um, kind of a things that I learned or something in 2020. She's such a sweet girl. My God, she's smart for her age. I love watching her. I really do. She's from Ireland. If for those of you who don't know, please go check her out. Um, she's amazing, and I love listening to her chat, and I love listening to her ideas and thoughts, and gives me hope for the younger generation. I guess I could say. Anyway, so I sort of thought about that, and I said, well, things that I've learned in 2020, and I have here inspired by Dainty Diaries. And um, so I wrote down a few things, and I hope you don't mind. I hope this doesn't screw up anything here. I'm going to kind of hold it up this way. And I wrote down um, things that I learned in 2020, basically. Um, and that's not going to stay because it's being difficult. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'll have to edit that bit. So one of the things that I um, learned about myself in 2020 during the pandemic were my fears. And my fears were, I think, brought on partially by media, partially by the craziness going on in the United States with the election and people and the pandemic and the you know the who do you believe, who do you don't believe. I can understand why people don't believe certain media, because everybody's lying, you know. And it made me think, like, sorry, I'm just putting this out there. It made me think I was brought up in a time when the TV and the newspapers were factual, were true facts. Some of them biased, especially the columnists, but they were um, how can I explain it? Anyway, they were truthful, except when you get to read tabloids. Like in the old days was the Inquirer, I think the Star, the something else and something else. Anyway, all of these other, craziness, like there was a UFO landing and, all of these crazy stories. But our news media gave us the truth without bias. And I've noticed in the United States that every channel, every station has its biases, and it should not be that way. It should be totally nonpartisan. I think that's what it's called, non-bias. Just tell the facts and tell the truth, not what you think, but what is the truth. So, and I watched a few. I'm sorry, but I watched a few, and I realized that, you know what, your news media, and the reason that nobody believes anything is because, you know, you're not getting the truth. You're getting what they call um, their version of the truth. So I can understand that. And maybe, just maybe, look at foreign press, look at other countries' news media, the British, the Australian. Well, I don't guess you don't understand German and French, but um, and even our media is usually pretty accurate. I do notice once in a while it is a bit biased, shouldn't be, um, but that can be very harmful to the television people. Anyway, so my first one was fears, and one of the fears was that my friends, and most of you are Americans, are not getting accurate information. Therefore, your fears are, I think, justified. But there are some people out there that are giving the truth. And if you can um, eliminate your your truth and get the facts. Anyway, that's a whole different story. The first thing was fear. So I was fearful, and I'm going to probably cut out some of that because it wasn't all necessary, but it's just kind of what I believed growing up. So my fear was, when toilet paper wasn't available, and in Canada we don't have the same problem in the United States when it comes to food supplies and things like that. I mean, I think Lysol not having wipes available is kind of BS. I think, they're probably stockpiling, and then, what used to be $4 for a container of Lysol wipes is going to be like $8 or $9 just so they can make a buck. And you know what? Whatever. But I got fearful, and my fear. So in my fear, I created by watching preppers. I created myself a sort of a 72-hour um, survival pack. Now, we don't have the same things in the United States. We don't have the extreme weathers like you do. Sure, we get a bad winter sometimes, but we don't get the hurricanes, and we do get tornadoes once in a while, but we don't get all of those horrible things where you really need to sort of grab and go. We don't have that here. But I still had that fear. What if? Because we didn't know in early March and April. We really didn't know what was going on, and trusted our government and our health officials to help us through this. And now as I look back, I'm glad I did it, because it's something that you never know in life what could happen, and it's kind of nice to be prepared. So anyway, I went on way too much about the first one, but I just recognized fear in myself that I never had before. Um, I always looked with interest at other countries and their politics and what was going on, but it never was fearful to me. When the pandemic hit, I found myself being rather silly about a lot of things and not looking at things logically. And with too much information, I found that it created fears that perhaps were not necessary. So that was one thing. Stresses. I noticed that I was more easily stressed, and I think it was for mom more than anything else, although for myself as well, that I allowed other people to stress me out. Whereas before, and before mom came to live with me, I lived alone for many, many years. I always handled stress or people's stress as I would a friendship. And what I mean by that is I always kept positive, intellectual, smart people around me and avoided negative people. And that was really good for me. I lived very well that way. I was very social. I went out and, all of those things. I did volunteer work. There was all kinds of things going on with my life. And then after mom came to live with me, I found other external stressors were affecting me more. And I think it's like anything else when you're responsible for someone, when you're responsible for another person or even your pets, but mostly another person, um, other people's opinions and accusations and all of those things can hit you like a stone, like a brick. It hits you, and sometimes because you haven't experienced it before, you kind of go a little crazy. So that was one thing that I learned about myself, that I allowed external stressors to dictate my reaction rather than, you know, um, dealing with it in a logical, um, intelligent way. So that was something that I had really noticed, because I had been allowing that, actually, not just this past year, but more so this past year. Um, I mean, since mom moved in with me, basically, I had noticed that I didn't handle stress, external stressors, as well as I used to. The other thing that I learned about myself was trust. And that was to trust in myself, to trust my judgment, to be um, to be factual about the trust that I had in myself by examining all the facts, and I actually was quite proud of myself that I could trust my own judgment and felt strong about it. And that was really important for me. What was the other thing here? Letting go of the past. Letting go of the past was a big one for me. That was something that I discovered um, over the past year, that things that happened in the past, you have to forgive. You have to try and forget, but don't allow it to kind of get deep into your gut. And that's what I found about myself that was a good thing, was that I was letting go of past um, unfortunate incidences that happened. The other thing that I um, learned was the importance of family, how important my grandchildren are to me, and how important it is for me to trust my daughter and my son and their spouses to do the right thing for them, and not to worry, and not to become the matriarch of the family that noses in, um, not noses in, but you know what I mean, gets nosy, interferes. I never thought I was like that, but I found myself kind of doing that, and I didn't like it, because I wouldn't have liked it. I was strong headed and independent as I got older, not when I was younger. I was very insecure, but when I reached my mid 20s to early 30s, I became very independent and very strong willed, and very confident in myself to raise my children and so on. So, the importance of my family, their safety, and what they are doing, I have to trust them to make the right decisions, and how important it is for all of my family. Sorry, I'm hitting my mic. I apologize. Um, I never really got to know my cousins that live in Nova Scotia. I never really got to know them. I had my life here. They live, but the way that they are as a family, they're very close knit. They're very honest, down to earth. And I love that about them. And I wish I had known them growing up. But that was an impossibility. The only way I knew them was through my aunt, through my mom's sister. She would, you know, tell me who different people were and what's going on in her life. But I've noticed it more and more as when my aunt passed away, how we all got to know each other a little bit. And it's sad that something like that had to happen for us to get to know each other. But I'm very proud of them. And that is important to me. It is important for me to know these are my first cousins, my mom and my mom's sister and her brother and all of that. So the importance of family, the importance of friends, the importance of resources that are available to me, that was really reassuring for me. And I learned how important those things were actually helping me more than I realized. And the last thing that I wrote down was setting my goals and how did I put this? Yeah, even at my age, setting goals, having a dream, having ideals. I'd forgotten that I had written that down, but that was something that I didn't really do. I think I was just living every single day with mom, just living, which is great, but I never really set out goals. I never really set out anything, any dreams or any of those things. Where those things were natural before 2020, I would do that often. I would think, okay, this is my goal, that this is what I want to achieve for this week, this year, this month, whatever. Um, and I noticed that about myself, that I kind of let it go, and then I started doing it again. And that's so important. And that's what I learned in 2020, is that I had forgotten the importance of setting goals for myself, setting dreams for myself, setting expectations for myself, rather than just being a caregiver. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. But please go check out Dainty Diaries. She was very articulate about so many things, and I enjoyed her video, and I hope you will too. I will leave her link in the description below. Most of you should know her, but if you don't, I think a lot of you do. But if you don't, check her out, because she's a smart little girl, and I'm very proud of her. And yeah, just that. Now that I let my tea get cold. So, sorry, this was just a ranty little. No, it's not. I just wanted to share a few things with you. And I really sat down after watching her video and said to myself, what have I learned in 2020? At my age, what have I learned? What discovery about myself came out of all of this? And those were some of the funny things, like, not funny things, but what I considered unusual was my fears, the stressors, how I allowed that to happen that I never would have done before. Um, Trusting in myself, believing in myself again, believing that I'm making the right decisions for the right reasons, and sticking by them and being strong about it, and having the facts behind me, things like that, and also letting go of the past. I noticed that I did that, and it really helped me a lot, was letting go of the past. I always thought I did before, but I think, like I say, having the responsibility of looking after mom, I kind of, I don't know. I don't think I was looking after me. I don't think I was thinking of me. Constantly, I was always thinking of mom. And you're right. Many of you have said in comments, I do have to look after myself. But sometimes I felt a little selfish about it, that I would do that. And that's only been this year, because before that, I was not I had a woman come in once a week so that I could go out. That was my way of looking after me. I had other interests that I was bringing in. I was doing more crafting. I was creating more. And those were all the things I did up until 2020. And in 2020, I noticed I kind of slacked off. I gained weight. Oh well, I'll have to just try and lose it. Slow but sure. But whatever, you know. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for allowing me into your homes and into your hearts. And thank you so much again for your kind words about Mom and for me and for supporting me. I really appreciate it. And welcome to my new subscribers. I do have a few new subscribers, and I really, really appreciate it. Um, I hope that you will get more out of my channel as I start creating more and doing more crafts. I've got a couple of reviews I want to do, and I hope you will join me at that time. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.